You morons aren't smart enough to understand how optics work, so you scrape off the barest veneer of understanding from the things that I say. If you cared about optics, you would understand that the best thing you could possibly do to support trans people is fall behind edgy criticisms of J.K. Rowling and mock her for crybullying while dismissing the hyperbolic criticisms and denunciations of problematic language used against her. When J.K. Rowling says this misogyny is why I'm a TERF or whatever implies it, you know what you should do? Call her a stupid c*** who wants trans kids dead. Lean into it. I don't care. I'll ban all of you. I will burn this community to the ground before I cede a single inch of ground to you people. All right? Unsubscribe. You will rue the day. I will be 10 times as misogynistic, 20 times, and it will be optically effective. 30 times.
Listen, Vaush, I hope with all my heart that your community takes what you're saying to heart and starts calling women and starts calling black people uncle and just becomes the most toxic cesspool of in the left, just so that it's just so apparent what the Marxists stand for. J.K. Rowling got into some trouble again recently, as she always does.
Trouble? No, that never happens. Come on.
I know.
Team TERF?
I know, being called the TERF and all this stuff. She tweeted out a tweet on March 8th that said, "This morning, you told the British public you literally can't define what a woman is. What's the plan? Lift up random objects until you find one that rattles?" Okay, so she's pushing back.
That is basically the plan. She totally nailed it.
She did. She did. J.K. Rowling, feminist, pushed back against the whole gender ideology. If you remember from the Matt Walsh video, you know, what does it mean to be a woman? Well, I can't answer that question. Only a woman can define what it means to be a woman, you know, kind of bullshit answer. So you go, okay, you know, that's fine. So our good friend, libertarian socialist,
Vaush, yes.
Vaush, says in response to the J.K. Rowling tweets, he says, all J.K. Rowling had to do was shut the fuck up and she could have been almost uncritically beloved for like a century. Women, be quieter and start apologizing. Challenge.
Okay. I mean, I think the second tweet is honestly a solid joke. I mean,
it is a solid joke, but I don't understand. Like, it's not a joke that someone who's woke as fuck can make. And
of
that's
course,
where you get into trouble.
Of course,
in trouble. And we'll talk about this more when we watch the video, because Vaush tries to kind of downplay it or explain it, and he doesn't really. He doesn't really. Yeah. So J.K. Rowling finds this tweet. Originally I thought this tweet. I could have swore this tweet originally was like a reply to her, because that's how I found it. But then I don't know. It seemed to be a separate tweet that he just tweeted out. So J.K. Rowling finds this tweet somehow and says, "What you and your ilk fail to appreciate is how tediously familiar I find your tactics. I had a violent ex-husband who used to tell me my life would be great if only I'd comply, but you're making the same mistake he did. Women like me can't be bullied out of resistance." Wow. Look at that. Almost 90,000 likes on it.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of articles actually were written that were shitting all over Vaush.
Yes.
For the very misogynistic tweet that he put out to J.K. Rowling. And a lot of people asked us to cover this. Vaush put out a video on his channel a couple days ago titled something.
I regret nothing, I believe.
Let me bring it up real quick.
In the thumbnail. So
it says, "The moral necessity of being sexist to J.K. Rowling and why I do it again."
Okay.
So he's doubling down. Right. A lot of people want us to cover that video, and I was conflicted because when I saw this tweet and I saw that it blew up, I assumed that Vaush was happy about this, that this was intentional. You know, Destiny does this a lot, I think, intentionally, where he will tweet something incendiary because he knows it will blow up and go viral. A bunch of people want to debate him about it. and he ends up gaining followers from it.
Yeah,
I assumed,
content.
right? He gets content from it. I assumed that was Vaush's plan here too, was to just kind of blow up about this. But if you watch, I don't know, did you watch the necessity video that he put on his channel?
I did not watch that. I did watch the stream that you linked me, and I watched maybe 20 minutes of it. I didn't really go too deep into it because, I mean, I like to react to stuff on the live. Get it fresh, yeah. But I don't. Are we gonna? Which one are we? I don't even.
We're gonna watch the stream. We're not gonna watch the video on his channel.
It is incredibly embarrassing. Being bar none the most controversial online left-leaning content creator. I mean, it's not even close. I think we've well surpassed Contra with this latest drama.
Feedback. I'm curious what you think of the statement, Sitch.
That he's more I mean, I guess. I don't know. Is he more controversial than Hassan?
This statement seems delusional to me. Surpassing ContraPoints. ContraPoints has been in the New York Times. Every single person in the mainstream media.
No, he said in terms of being like the most controversial leftist YouTuber. Well, maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Clearly, I mean, we get news articles written about our shenanigans now easily, and have community which will hand-wring over the mildest. I mean, seriously, women should shut up. That's the thing that send you guys into an apoplectic fit of, oh, what about the optics, Like, it's not even as edgy as a...
This is so insane to me. Okay. You have all these woke assholes who have been pushing, political correctness, social justice activism, all this woke stuff, who are so quick to label anyone that opposes anything they say as a bigot. And yet they think that they're so above it all, the ego here, that he thinks he's so above it all that he can use all these weapons, calling all these people misogynist, sexist, racist, homophobes, transphobes, that he can then go out and just say, women need to shut up. And then be, shocked Pikachu face when his community is like, whoa, what the fuck, Vaush? I thought this was against everything we stood for.
Yeah, no. And also the fact that other people would use the same weapons he's devised on him.
Right.
Of course they will.
I know.
Chapo bit. Like, can you just imagine, like, Felix from Chapo reading over, like, a J.K. Rowling tweet and going, yeah, looking at this has just convinced me that actually all women are stupid. Cis women, trans women, I don't care, Like, Chapo would go that. Do you think their community would hand-wring over this? Not even close. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't even pay any attention. And if J.K. Rowling, for some reason, clipped that and then, like, bitched about it, do you think the Chapo community would embolden her cry-bullying by supporting her and overstating the harm of that joke? No. If you guys care about optics so much, then what you need to realize is that the most optically effective thing you guys could have done in that situation was to laugh at Rowling for being a triggered liberal. You realize the majority of her support is from...
So this triggers me.
Yeah, because it's completely wrong, but...
He's doing the same thing that the Pro Felicity guy is doing. That disgusts me on a level that I can't even verbalize.
We have to talk to him, especially if you're getting disgusted. We have to talk to him.
Like, these fucking Marxist pieces of shit who have been pushing, the cultural neo-Marxian nonsense for the last 4 or 5 years or 6 years publicly. And then they have the gall to turn around and say, oh, wokeness is really the libs. It's all these liberals with their wokeness. Like, no, fuck you. It's this neo-Marxian fucking infiltration into the left that all wokeness is based around. And then they have the gall to turn around and blame the libs for that.
Yeah.
You made this bed, Vaush. Your fucking dog shit community that you're part of, this leftist Marxist community that you're part of, is the source of all the wokeness that we're experiencing right now. You don't get to throw the blame at the libtards now. And they all do this. They all do this fucking bullshit where they're like, oh, they created the Frankenstein monster of wokeness. And now that it's out of control and just ravaging across the countryside and hurting them, they're like, oh, I didn't make this.
Yeah, they're the ones that weaponize sensitivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the ones that weaponize sensitivity. They're the ones that start all the cancellation nonsense.
Yes. Yeah.
You know the meme comic where the person's like, I made this. And then the other person takes it and they say, I made this. Yes. It's like the reverse of that. The woke people made the sensitivity culture. They made the wokeness culture. Right. And now they're like, oh, it was these other people that made it.
They're handing it to Sitch and saying, you made this.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
I didn't make
this. What are you talking about?
We've been fighting against this for a year.
Oh, my God.
You made this.
You fucking made this, Vaush. You made your bed. And now you're going to sleep in it.
Lie on down.
Conservatives, right? All you do by pearl clutching and going, oh, well, this sexism is a bad way of providing our opinion.
I never got to make my point. I mean, optically, first of all, Vaush is the one that's completely trained his lapdogs that optics are the only thing that matters, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is the message of his community. Optics, like, against everything else. Optically, to have a bunch of your community chiming in about how, you know, she's a terrible person and just signal boosting your terrible message is not going to work out optically. That's not going to look good. That's going to make her point doubly. That's going to make her point exponentially. Okay.
Right. And so that's the idea that saying.
Right. So the idea that Vaush thinks that optically everybody following him into this unwinnable battle is the thing to do. It's insane here. Like, obviously he doesn't understand the optics, how the optics work. His audience, you know, they'll believe anything Vaush says within limits. Obviously they're like, okay, Vaush, you kind of jumped the shark here. This is optically not good. And how don't you see it?
Well, I think he does understand that the optics are so bad here, which is why he's so upset. But but like Putin, there's no exit strategy for that.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh, definitely.
He can't apologize because then he'll look weak. So his only option is to just keep doubling down, but then he just looks like a moron.
Yeah.
So
is seed ground to them. It would be like during Gamergate, like every time Anita Sarkeesian came out with a point that wasn't like great, you'd be like, you know, oh, well, that wasn't a great point from Anita Sarkeesian, and I don't know right now. Like while she's getting death threats, you know? If you care about optics, you would understand.
So basically, support me. I'm getting death threats.
Yes,
the message here. For those of you who don't understand, Vaush is putting himself in the Anita Sarkeesian role here.
Right.
He is the one, in fact, getting death threats. Right. But he is making a slight admission here. He's saying that this wasn't the best point or argument, or, I mean, that's a concession.
That is, though. I would say it's a bad comparison because it's not like he had a take that he was serious about that people didn't like. It was him making a misogynistic joke.
Yes, totally.
And so it would be like if Anita Sarkeesian, who has been promoting all this feminism and video games crap for years, then tweets out like, oh, you know, all men suck. I wish they'd all die or something, you know. And you'd be like, whoa, mask off there, lady. Like,
wouldn't it be more like if she tweeted out something like J.K. Rowling is a whore? Because that would be like so off message for her.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right. And you built, or she made, if Anita Sarkeesian made some sexist against women joke or something, and you'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? Kind of diverts from your message of your activism.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, what a feminist you are, calling some other woman a whore. Kind of makes it seem like you're not really serious about the feminism.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Vaush is a hardcore feminist, right?
I mean, he claims he is.
He pitches himself as a hardcore feminist, right?
Does a hardcore feminist tweet out that women be quieter and start apologizing challenge? I don't know.
I
don't know, Adam.
Seems something like A-Team might tweet out, but
it does.
Not at J.K. Rowling, though. J.K. Rowling is, I mean, I consider her a serious person.
Right.
It's funny that they don't. I guess they don't comprehend the arguments that she's making.
Because she has a mildly milquetoast take on trans people. And anything but complete capitulation is, you are the enemy, basically.
Right.
And I think they're right in that they understand, since their ideology, since the woke ideology and the cultural neo-Marxist ideology is so backwards and oppressive, that it's almost like if any cracks start to form, they know that the dam will quickly break. And so it's like when you have someone like J.K. Rowling who just questions the narrative a little bit, or someone like Dave Chappelle who questions the narrative a little bit, all these little cracks make people more comfortable to call out the bullshit. And I think they're aware that if people are comfortable disagreeing, like no one's going to buy into any of this stuff. So that this is an ideology built on basically fear of social pressure.
So do you think, and this I've been contemplating for the last few days, do you think that this was calculated on J.K. Rowling's part? Because I do know that Vaush is one of these gender abolitionists, everyone will be trans in the future type people. So she targeted someone that really is, I would say, part of the problem, if her problem is the trans ideology.
No, I think what happened was a lot of people were tweeting out all J.K. Rowling had to do was shut up, shut the fuck up, or shut up, blah, blah, blah. Like that was like a meme tweet format. And I would imagine, I would guess that the way J.K. Rowling found this tweet was she clicked on that search for those words that had like, hundreds of tweets all shade on her about this. And Vaush's was probably one of the highest ones because it had the most likes because it's a large audience. And so she saw that, and then she saw the second tweet of the misogyny, and she's like, oh, look at this fucking piece of shit misogynist who's claiming to be on the left.
So you think it was just incidental?
I think it was just incidental. I assume she has no clue anything about who Vaush is or anything like that.
J.K. Rowling does have the ability to take players off the field, I think.
Well, but so while I was going through her Twitter timeline to get the screenshots for the show, she was like quote tweeting and tweeting a bunch of like random people over the last couple of days. So it doesn't seem targeted or calculated. It seems like she's just kind of triggered online and just responding to people. And it's funny because part of the thing that got like, I was looking up about her feminist bona fides before she got into trouble for the trans stuff. And it seemed like one of the bugaboos she had on Twitter was men who claim they're on the left, but then they insult the women in a very misogynist way.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I don't think this is calculated. I think she just saw this. It completely conformed with like a previous bugaboo she has about men on the left. And so it was like the perfect thing for her to take a picture of and retweet.
Mental note, no misogyny. Oh, shit, I already fucked up with the thumbnail. J.K. Rowling's going to hate me.
Because you put make me a sandwich.
I put make me a sandwich in the thumbnail.
Can't believe it. Can you believe this guy?
It's okay. It was funny. You laughed. You totally.
It was pretty funny.
All you're doing is contributing to the impression that some faux pas was committed. But the normies don't get that. You don't get that. You think you're enlightened. You morons aren't smart enough to understand how optics work, so you scrape off the barest veneer of understanding from the things that I say. If you cared about optics, you would understand that the best thing you could possibly do to support trans people is fall behind edgy criticisms of J.K. Rowling and mock her for crybullying while dismissing the hyperbolic criticisms and denunciations of problematic language used against her. This is...
So, it's funny because he makes this argument, but he doesn't, I don't think, for the hour-long conversation about this, he doesn't actually explain any of the logic behind it because it seems like a completely insane position. Like, if you're trying to optically criticize J.K. Rowling's position and show that her position is, bad or whatever, how is playing into the very thing she wants you to play into a good thing optically to do? J.K. Rowling wants to call you a misogynist. I mean, if she's coming at from a feminist perspective, she's like, oh, you have all these men infiltrating, female spaces, including literally, female bodies, right? By transitioning. Like, it's literally the TERF dream to call people against trans people misogynist, or I mean, against anti-trans people misogynist.
Yeah.
And so how is this good optics at all for him to do this?
Well, it's bad optics in the wider story. Is it? I mean, is it even?
There's no good optics. That's what's so weird. There's zero optics that are good here for the normie that doesn't know anything about Vaush. They look at this and say, "Oh, this guy is just some weirdo sexist."
Right. Basement dweller.
Like, yeah. Well, no. The normie looks at this tweet and they say, "Oh, these weirdo gender far left activists are fucking hypocrites," which is what the right's been saying about them forever. Which is they are generally. So it's playing into that. And then from his own community, how is it optically, like, what is the good optics here?
Is he asking his community to lie for optics? I feel like he is.
He is asking his community to lie for optics. That's 100% what he's doing.
Right.
What I'm saying is, I don't, if he used to tweet out this joke, like, where's the benefit here? I don't even understand the purpose there's no purpose to doing this except to say, oh, listen, you could be a fucking edgelord too and be a commie. That's the only point of these tweets, is to try to get people who like edgy jokes to be comfortable with accepting, Marxism.
And to make Vaush feel better.
Because I think he likes this. He's saying it's a joke, but I think he likes it. I think he likes being racist or sexist against people that he, being ultra dismissive against people that he doesn't like.
Well, I think this is why he likes having political enemies. It allows him to do these terrible things that he enjoys.
Right.
But that's most people, right? Most people they get off on dehumanizing their political rivals.
Yes.
It's terrible, but they do. Yes.
And this is just classic in-group, out-group, okay? J.K. Rowling is the out-group. Therefore, I can insult her and attack her in ways that would be hypocritical for me to do because she's the out-group. She doesn't get, what I consider moral actions don't apply to the out-group because they're the enemy.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. The lying thing is interesting to me because Vaush, we've covered him before, and he's so outspoken about, willing to lie or shade the truth, whatever you want to call it, for optics. He says optics only. Yeah, optics are the only thing that matters. But here, he's literally asking his audience to do the same. His audience can see that this is misogynistic. They're telling him that it's misogynistic and it crosses a line. But he's saying, no, you should just act like it doesn't, because optically that will create a win. Even though we disagree that it would create a win optically, he's saying that it would. That's he's like, what's going on here? I thought we were all in agreement that we had to lie for optics. Now's the time. Step up.
Well, it's almost like I'm the leader here. Even if you disagree with me and you think I had a bad take, you have to fall on the sword for me so that I can keep pushing the message.
He literally says that in here. Did you get, did we go to the, he literally says that in here. I got to admit, I was like, a little of the evil dictator in me was like, maybe we're letting people off a little easy.
Is not my joke was like 4 out of 10 edgy. Are you kidding me? The online left does shit like this nonstop. ContraPoints has edgier jokes in her video.
See, this is another thing that just...
It's your favorite.
What's that?
What about
what about is a aside? I'm going to let we'll set that aside in this particular instance. We're having a conversation about optics here. ContraPoints is a trans woman. You are a white straight male, Vaush. I know that you may not like the fact that it's a different optical situation for you, but it is a hugely different optical situation.
videos. If J.K. Rowling had clipped one of those and complained about it, would you have gone, oh, well, I think this joke that Contra made where she said that the essence of femininity was being quiet and smiling when people make bad jokes, I think that was actually internalized misogyny. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. You fucking cowards. The mildest shit.
Well, this is also very dishonest, too. Because, you know, we've covered... didn't we cover her J.K. Rowling video?
I'll be right back.
Oh, you got a phone call. But, no, we covered J.K. Rowling's... ContraPoints J.K. Rowling video. And ContraPoints would say something like, you know, make that joke like, oh, you know, the essence of being a woman is to be quiet or whatever. It'd be very clear that it was a joke that she wanted you to take the opposite interpretation of. That she was just joking on that premise. But with Vaush's tweet, it doesn't even make sense. You're not supposed to take the opposite of the tweet because he's literally criticizing. He's saying, I'm criticizing a woman because she won't shut up. And then immediately says women should shut up. How are you supposed to take the opposite of that joke? That doesn't even make sense.
Sorry.
That's okay. The point, I would say that when it comes to making an edgy joke, there's generally 3 points, okay? There's 3 purposes behind it. The first purpose is that you actually believe whatever the edgy joke is. The second point is
what? That's not true.
Well, obviously some people believe it. Of course. What do you mean?
Yeah, but so many of my edgy jokes.
No, I understand.
Obviously, I don't believe any.
I know, but I'm saying there's 3 motivations behind edgy jokes.
Okay.
One of them is because you actually believe whatever the joke is saying.
Right, and you're sneaking it in. You're like,
and you're sneaking it
really.
in and saying, I'm just joking, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they say like, oh, kill all landlords, JK, you know, it's like,
That's a perfect example.
Yeah, you're like, or they say like, oh, you know, get rid of all white people, and you're like, I don't know,
sus, very sus.
Yeah. So that's one motivation. The second motivation is that you're just saying something that you don't believe in, but you're just saying something like controversial or you're pushing the line just to get a rise out of people. And that's the only point of the joke. It's just to push a rise, just to annoy people or just to shock people or, you know, whatever. Comedy's about surprise, as you always say, Adam. It's just to get that, you know, reaction out of people. And then the third point to make an edgy joke is that you're trying to say the opposite of the joke. You're kind of trying, you're playing a character that people are supposed to laugh at because you're saying something outrageous, but they're all supposed to be like, oh, you know, you're playing the character of the bad guy. Like a good example of this, I think, would be someone like Tosh. Tosh would always say like the most like heinous shit that was hilarious on stage, but part of his character is that he's like a bad person, right?
Yeah, Justine Sacco.
And Justine Sacco, perfect example. You know, she's the first person to get, you know, widely publicly canceled. She said, going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS. Just kidding, I'm white.
Solid joke.
Solid joke. Solid joke. And I would argue the point of the joke is it's more about, and this is what's hilarious, it's not insulting black people. It's insulting white people.
Yes.
Because she's playing herself as a character saying like, oh, I'm pretending to be like an ignorant white person.
Totally.
That's the joke. Vaush's joke doesn't fit any of these categories at all, except maybe that he actually believes it. And that's what the problem is with the edgy joke. It doesn't fit any of these categories.
Now I want to look at the thing again. Yeah. Because it's, how is all J.K. Rowling had to do was shut the fuck up? How is that something that he didn't actually mean? He's not playing an obtuse character here.
Right. Exactly. His first tweet, he believes it. All J.K. Rowling had to do is shut the fuck up. And then his second tweet is women need to shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit any of the form. It's just him being a fucking asshole edgelord, and then saying, "Oh, like this is literally the comic of the meme comic of the feminist who's shoveling shit and throwing it over the wall, and then the shit gets thrown back at her, and she's like, "Oh, how dare they?"
Yeah, yeah. Turnabout is fair play, J.K. Rowling style. That's so good.
You don't care about optics. You're just crybabies. Okay? You're crybabies.
Yeah, they're crybabies because they care about optics.
You fucking train them to be crybabies. This is the
that's so true.
It's so rich for him to go, J.K. Rowling is being a crybaby. Why do we even have the word crybaby? Why does that word even fucking exist? It exists because of people like you, Vaush, and the leftist cancel culture weaponizing crybaby. Okay.
Yes, it's effective. That's why they exist.
And I hate it when you confuse the two. There are people going, oh, Vaush has failed to consider optics. He doesn't care about optics. I'm the only one who cares about optics here. You people are just embarrassing. That's the problem. Okay? No normies are being moved over by J.K. Rowling screenshotting me being mildly misogynistic.
That is so fucking untrue. The normies are totally moving over.
I know.
They're like, this is your political left right here, guys. Here it is. You know,
J.K. Rowling,
all talk. That tweet says all talk. That's all it says.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, she got 90,000 likes almost on that tweet.
Yeah. 90,000 people
Oof.
shocked and chagrined that these people are voting for the same candidates as them.
I know.
Joke. Folks, the people who agree with J.K. Rowling are conservatives overwhelmingly. All of the existing information we have on who opposes trans rights points in that direction.
See, his whole channel is devoted to conservatives or cockroaches. I mean, everything he says about conservatives is wrong, demoralizing nonsense. So he has this idea, like he just wants to put J.K. Rowling in the camp of conservative so that he can dismiss anything that she says. But I mean, I don't know your gut check on it, but I don't feel like J.K. Rowling is remotely conservative or a conservative icon in any way, shape, or form. She's a feminist, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling's very left.
Yes.
She's feminist.
Yes. The conservatives weren't jumping for joy when Dumbledore was labeled gay, posthumously gay, and they were forced to watch 6, 7, 8 Harry Potter movies, not knowing that this character was gay. I think they even got a different actor. It's like,
well,
they
he died,
so used Dumbledore. Well, the actor died, but
yeah, the actor died.
But the gay Dumbledore lived on.
Right. They didn't say this actor.
What did he die of AIDS?
We have to kill him off, you know.
Hopefully he didn't.
Yeah.
The idea that J.K. Rowling is swaying these hordes of normies when even the cast of Harry Potter movies aren't inviting her to like reunions and stuff is just not true. The media.
Yeah, but this is what's so funny. You're helping her. You're pushing that narrative, Vaush. You move the needle. Maybe there was a bunch of people that just thought J.K. Rowling was a transphobe and that her arguments didn't have any water. And then she's like, look, here's a person that is like the exact stereotype that I want to label up and say, here's the misogynist that hates women, but is pro-trans, supposedly.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The cast of Harry Potter is probably reaching out to her right now and going, oh, I can't believe you're having to deal with these these toxic, misogynistic internet people. They're so bad.
I know.
Oh, media has taken a side against her. It's the conservatives who side with her. And conservatives, A, don't care about sexism, obviously. And B, to a conservative, you being trans is worse optically than me being sexist, okay? Far worse. If you care about optics, then sorry, buddy, all right? If you're trans and don't pass perfectly, then you better have a cartoon Avi, because otherwise your image, your appearance is worse optics than anything I can say. They don't care.
You hear how none of this is actually an explanation about why what he did is justified or optically good?
Yeah.
It's all just, what about them? What about them? Look at what they're doing. Well, look at what about those people?
Yeah. He's got to separate the tribe here. Is Vaush's entire audience trans now? I mean, he's talking like they are. He is. I'm starting to wonder. He literally, there's 3,000 people listening to this stream, and he literally said they're all trans.
Right.
Care about arguments, logic, or morals. They care about degeneracy.
What? He's saying all conservatives don't care about logic or morals. What?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, no one cares about logic, so that's...
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that one.
But morals, everyone cares about morals.
Of course they do. Yeah. They think this is going to lead. Well, they're worried about their kids. They're worried their kids are going to come home from some communist teacher in social studies and say, I'm trans, that they've basically implanted gender dysphoria into their children.
Right.
Which, I mean, I would be worried as a parent about false positives, wouldn't you, Sitch?
I would be. Yeah.
And you all, by you all, I mean trans people, in the mind of a conservative, are degenerates, which is far worse to a conservative than being mildly misogynistic. So if
some conservatives definitely will think trans people are degenerates, but
right. And this is the, and you were saying, you're saying, oh, Vaush is a hypocrite here because all he does is just badmouth one side and cast them in the most negative light. And this is exactly it. This is, Sitch and Adams' law of broad strokes. He's just saying, oh, everyone, including J.K. Rowling, that has any disagreement on any level about any trans issues is like, John Doyle, level of, or whatever, or someone even more extreme than John Doyle, someone who's just like, oh, all trans people are degenerate. They should be purged, right?
Yes.
Like, there's varying shades of belief here, Vaush, that many, and J.K. Rowling, she's not even against people transitioning at all.
Yes. Of course not. Yeah.
And yet he's hitting her with these broad strokes. So dishonest.
It's so ironic that they are for the binary. It's just the political binary.
Yes.
It's That's true. There's no political spectrum. It's all binary. You're either conservative or you agree with me.
That's interesting. That, it's like, oh, when it comes to gender, we have to have the magic spectrum that has 1,000 different genders in it, and everything has to be so complicated and nuanced. But when it comes to political thought, you're either with me or you're against me, and that's it. There's no spectrum.
How much better would society be if we switched those? If we taught people that there's a political spectrum.
Oh my God.
There's a political spectrum.
I know.
And sex is a binary. You fucking moron.
Like, who cares? Just go like, Lamau. Like, haha, she's triggered. Cry bully bitch. Beta. What a cunt. Like, I don't know. Just, it's no big. It's
no big.
Leaning into that is optically beneficial compared to like contributing to the hand wringing. As somebody who spends a lot of time in conservative spaces, I can tell you this much, okay? Conservatives don't mock the left when a person on the left says something problematic and their whole community like cheers and hoots and hollers for it, okay? People on the right mock people on the left when they are forced into apologizing because their community...
That's not even true. That's not even fucking true. People who are not in the leftist bubble, like us and other people, constantly point to them and say, look at these fucking hypocrites who are totally fine with being racist against white people or sexist against men. It's like super common. This is total bullshit.
Pointing out on both sides, left and right.
Right.
Yeah.
I brought it up. More sensitive than that person.
Yeah.
Mock people like that,
I also, I wanted to make, this is fucking great. Start a YouTube channel. Optics!
Step 1, step 2, step 3, profit.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
It's all about making that money. Another interesting thing about this is, I mean, typically when you have a political debate, there's this thing called the spin room afterwards, where the campaign officials basically try to spin it so that their candidate did the best. This was a giant win for their candidate, right? Typically those people get paid, right?
Right.
Vaush is here trying to basically get his spin room going on the cheap. He's like saying, everybody, you guys need to go out and spin this. Obviously, this was a disaster of a debate between me and J.K. Rowling, but just make it seem as though I won. But he's even giving them bad advice for going into the spin room. Can you imagine going into the spin room and Donald Trump has done terrible in the debate, and everyone who mentions things like that, his people just basically say, "Oh yeah, suck my dick, Lamau."
Well, that's a good point.
He did terrible.
He's basically like, okay, fans. if you know, we're supposed to be on the side of women's rights, and if someone says, you know, I believe I'm a feminist and I believe very strong in women's rights, and yet this Vaush character, you know, he said a misogyny on Twitter, and then the response is, "Shut up, cunt, Lamau." Just die mad.
Yes.
Ho. Yeah. And then you dab out of the room while, you know, backstepping. Like, what kind of fucking advice is that? How are you gonna win an argument like that?
So the next day, when the articles come up about the stunning debate,
Vaush fans call me cunt for thinking that you shouldn't be misogynist on Twitter.
Exactly. This is going to make the articles 10 times worse. They're like, they could clip this out. Vaush tells fans to say "fuck off, Lamau," and then a shitload of tweets. That's an article right there.
Right.
They could make this 1,000,000 times worse. Not good. Bad optics. You're giving them more fuel to dump on your funeral pyre.
I mean, imagine if someone, you know, clipped this, you know, him saying, you know, call them a cunt for supporting, you know, J.K. Rowling, and then, you know, J.K. Rowling gets that clip, but she just tweets it out.
Yes. Yeah. Along with all the people calling her a cunt.
Yes. Like, okay.
Look here, Vaush fan.
Right. Listen, we believe in women's rights.
Yeah. You don't sound like it.
No.
If you're so concerned about optics, then stay in the closet. Obviously, that's not the solution we take, because obviously we're not stupid enough to argue that the cry-bullying of conservatives should be the metric by which we determine...
Look at, now he's completely shitting on optics, too. He's saying...
Right.
Optics don't matter? I'm confused here. I thought optics did matter.
Only leftists get the cry bully. Okay. If people on the right cry bully, then it's not legitimate.
People, I mean, I recognize people on the right cry bullying long before people on the left ever started cry bullying. I mean, they're always cry bullying about the children.
Everyone cry bullies. It's a good tactic. That's why they do it.
And what modes of behavior are acceptable, and it is ridiculous that a person of my status and stature should be denigrated by his own community, faking an understanding of optics, cry bullying.
That's so weird. How could
this is a I'm better than you Anna Kasparian moment here. This could be a meme.
I don't think I'd ever say in my entire life, a person of my stature would have to deal with his own community turning on him for a bad take. Oh my, yes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Wait, I have to hear that again.
Person of my status and stature.
It's so funny in the context too of him being a full-on socialist. I thought socialists wanted to flatten hierarchies. What happened to that, Vaush?
That's right.
How dare you, plebes, make me feel bad about something that I said, the king, the ruler of this entire community. How dare you? How dare you? You are not worthy to serve at my feet.
That's a great point. You have, you know, leftists who want to flatten all hierarchies. So they're going to be looking to tear Vaush down anyway.
Of course.
And then you have, you know, the Jonathan Haidt moral surveys where the left has very little loyalty anyway.
Of course. Great point.
But just the ego here, like, oh wow, someone of my status and stature, how dare I have to put up with you fans? Oh, how dare you have opinions that disregard what I believe, what I say. Oh,
yes.
Listen to me uncritically and follow, sheep.
Yeah, Hassan has rubbed off on him. This is full Hassan here.
You're right. Oh, well, he didn't tell anyone to suck his dick during this
Not yet.
conversation,
It's coming, I feel.
It might come. It might come.
Should be denigrated by his own community, faking an understanding of optics.
Listen, he called all of you Vaush fans liars. Fakers, he called you. Fakers. Yes. Pretenders.
Oh my, you know, I'm really glad you pointed out because I missed that. He didn't just say like, oh, you guys are wrong. He called them liars.
Yeah. You are all liars. How dare you pretend to understand the big galaxy brain that is Vaush? You are here to learn. You are the servant. I am the teacher.
You come to my streams to listen to me. I don't come to your streams to listen to you. No one cares about you, you little peons.
I know.
By the way, I'm in favor of socialism. I think we need to flatten the hierarchies because we have too many oppressive people at the top.
I know. Yes, yes. The world's smallest asterisk in the world's tiniest font. P.S. Flatten hierarchies.
I mean, this is the best. This is like this clip of him making these arguments is the best argument against socialism.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Ever. It's all like, I want to flatten hierarchies. I care about the people. And then the second the person who, is the voice gets turned on, he's like, oh, how dare you?
Yes. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. We're witnessing it right here.
Bullying and hand-wringing over, I can't believe it was this. Women shut up. That's really what got you. My community. I have news articles which get viewed by hundreds of thousands or millions of people calling me a pedophile. And my community bitches and moans about women shut up.
See, there's a huge difference here, though, because his community believes all that stuff is false, lies, out of context shit. This is not out of context shit. I mean, you're basically telling her shut the fuck up. That's like night and day, is it?
We're saying shut the fuck up because you're a woman.
Yeah.
You didn't just say shut the fuck up. No one cares for that. But
yes, or if it was something that was taken out of context and not legit. I mean, this is something that you actually did. There's a huge difference here. There's a giant difference between people making shit up about you and people understanding that stuff is lies than something you actually fucking did. To conflate the two. Where's the big brain argument style guy at? Like, this is very basic.
I don't care. I'll ban all of you. I will burn this community to the ground before I cede a single inch of ground to you people. All right? Unsubscribe. You will rue the day. I will be 10 times as misogynistic, 20 times, and it will be optically effective. 30 times.
The ego, the narcissism on display here. I will ban every single member of my community. I will burn it to the ground if you don't support me in being a fucking hypocrite.
You know what's not optically effective? Narcissism. Narcissism is not.
You're right.
You want to keep that on the DL. We always talk about, we did that stream yesterday with Joe, and we talked about Trump's narcissism.
Right.
Trump is very good about not displaying his narcissism or wearing his narcissism on his sleeve. He always talked about, the MAGA movement being about us working together. Yeah, narcissism is not a good look.
No, this is. Well, could you? This would be interesting. This is like, remember when Trump, talked about the vaccines and then people started booing?
Yeah, I do.
And then Trump immediately said, well, or don't get it. It's your choice. Right. He instantly recovered. Could you imagine if Trump was like, oh,
I will burn this community
for my
to
vaccine.
The ground.
I built the MAGA movement. I built the wall. I'll burn the wall down just to spite you. I'll let all the Mexicans in if you boo me ever again. Fuckers.
Oh my God.
I'll burn America down. Like, could you imagine?
Oh yes. That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example. It would be so over.
Everyone would be like, wow, I thought you believed in something, but apparently all you do is believe in yourself.
This also, those loyalty numbers of Heights just don't look good for this kind of action here, Vaush.
No.
You should really learn some moral psychology before you go on your next live stream.
Yep.
I have a feeling people are not liking this. Look, he's reading the chat. He's so angry right now.
He's so molding.
Wait, can you zoom in on some of that chat there? Vaush, what is your reasoning for? Can you zoom in? I can't make mine larger. So.
It says, do it, purge him as a butch lesbian. No matter what I say in defense of trans folk, will be worse optics than your joke. That's interesting.
Oh,
don't care, purge. So a lot of people in the chat seem to be supporting.
Okay.
Maybe you should ramp up the edginess to make this community more tolerant of it. It's so funny because, like, this is so disgusting to me. The entire woke movement, starting in 2014 with, Gamergate and Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn and all the shit, it literally spawned out of woke leftists saying, you can't make funny, edgy jokes. That's how all of this started.
Yep.
Day one was, you're sexist and you can't make edgy jokes anymore. And now fucking pieces of shit who have been riding that woke train from town to town, raking in the cash, are like, why can't we be edgy? I don't understand.
Not only that, they're avid Gamergate haters, even though they're making the same exact argument as Gamergate.
Literally making the same argument.
I know. It's so... someone get these people a mirror, quick.
It's so dishonest.
No one is caring about TERF's opinions. Dumb, apolitical people exist who can be pulled into DERFdom. No, stop. You're doing it. Stop buying the conservative psyop. If you really care about dumb, apolitical people getting pulled to TERFdom, then stop falling for every psyop where they like pretend reasonable concerns about misogyny are the reasons why they are the way they are. When J.K. Rowling says this misogyny is why I'm a TERF or whatever implies it, you know what you should do? Call her a stupid cunt who wants trans kids dead. Lean into it. Stop. Strength.
It's okay. Here's my question. Does he honestly believe, for the purposes of his optics and his team's optics and messaging, that what would be convincing to the normie who doesn't know who Vaush is, doesn't know what the fuck J.K. Rowling's talking about is, does he honestly think that the normie is going to see J.K. Rowling tweet out, Vaush saying something misogynistic, and then having Vaush or someone else respond by calling her a cunt, and he thinks that's going to appeal to the average person, the average Facebook mom?
No.
Or
he can't.
Or
that.
Is this literally all fucking lies and bullshit because he just wants his community to have his back no matter what he says?
Number two. He just wants his community to have his back. And maybe for them to do something that throws the scent off of him. Something so terrible that it looks worse than anything he's done.
Okay. Because that's what I can't... this argument is like, even for Vaush world, this is so stupid. This is maybe one of the dumbest arguments he's ever made. This is probably dumber than submit to the mob. I cannot believe he honestly believes this.
He's usually more optics savvy than this, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, he knew. I saw before he went on Tim Pool's show, he was doing a live stream, and I ducked in for a few minutes, and he was basically sitting his chat down. His chat had the idea that he was going to go on there and stick it to Tim Pool, call him a fucking dirty conservative MAGA bitch to his face. That's what they expected. And Vaush just like, settle down, kids. Okay. This is going to be me.
Right.
Having a very friendly talk with Tim Pool and hoping that he'll invite me back on his show.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a completely different situation, which made him, I mean, it made me think, okay, Vaush does understand the optics of what's going on. His audience has no clue what's going on, but he's going to raise his status. He's playing the game.
Listen, Vaush, I hope with all my heart that your community takes what you're saying to heart and starts calling women cunts and starts calling black people Uncle Toms and just becomes the most toxic cesspool of shit in the left, just so that it's just so apparent what the Marxists stand for. I want that. I pray that happens. Vaush.
It's definitely a win for us. That's for sure.
That's a win. That's a huge win for us. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Take Vaush's advice.
Yeah. Take everyone on the left. Take all the leftists. Take Vaush's advice. Let the mask slip. Just be as openly hateful and bigoted as possible. Please, I beg you. Please do this. I'm not a conservative, though Vaush calls me a conservative. So from a Vaush labeled conservative, please do this. Please do exactly what he's saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just an ignorant optics fool who doesn't understand optics, but please, Vaush's community, do exactly what Vaush is saying. I beg you.
It would really stick it to us. Oh God! I would be losing sleep at night if you guys did this. I don't know if I'd be able to recover.
That's true. I mean, you'll get us good.
It would be devastating for us.
Oh man.
Yeah, I despise you. I hate you all so much. I despise you so much. Please unsubscribe from my channel. Okay, moving on.
That was it. On that note, the perfect note to end on.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.